Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Premier Sim Gaming League's YouTube channel. It's the turn of the PSF8 League to take centre stage here for round number 8 of Season 28 around the Suzuka circuit here in the land of a rising sun. It is time for the Japanese Grand Prix. My name is Jake, and it is only me in the commentary box this evening, as Bryn unfortunately cannot make it, as he had some real-life karting commitments over the weekend. But nevertheless, we should be in for a really good evening of racing at this historic venue, which has produced plenty of championship-defining moments over the years, and there's every possibility tonight that we could have some more of those. As something you'll already be able to see, obviously it's dry, but also we don't have the best of turnouts this evening. Just 13 drivers, sadly, are lining up on the grid tonight, which is a little bit disappointing, but you know, sometimes you can get just as good racing from 13 as you can from 20. It's not the quantity of races, it's the quality of the racing which matters most. So I'm sure we're still going to be in for a great evening's racing. As you can see, there are a few drivers already eager to get out there, so we'll go straight on board with Ugi, who is the first driver out there. So let's quickly run you through the standings coming into this race. I'm actually just going to check that we're live, because I haven't had anything come up on screen. Let me just double check. I believe everything's okay. So yeah, we are indeed live, which is fantastic. So yeah, coming into this evening, we've got Super Guy NL still in the championship lead, despite not scoring last week. In fact, none of the championship's top 3 scored last week, and despite that, they still remain the top 3 in the championship. You've got Super Guy NL in the lead on 58 points. You've got Ryan a further 12 points behind on 46. You've then got a tie for third place between Foka and Free Gloves. And further down, you've got TV Sen and Jonis tied for 5th place in the championship. You'd probably say at this point you're looking at probably, with Herald not being here this evening in 7th place on 30 points, you're probably looking at the top 6 really being the only ones realistically now can win a championship. But with Super Guy NL having that 12-point advantage and his nearest 2 rivals not being here this evening, it is a great chance for Super Guy NL to really rubber stamp his authority on this championship and take a big step towards sealing it. I don't believe he can seal it tonight. Actually, I do tell a lie, actually. I think no, he can't seal it. No, I was right the first time. No, he cannot seal it tonight, but he can take a big step towards doing so with a good result, that's for sure. In terms of the constructors as well, it is the Ferrari pair of Super Guy NL and Cam who hold a 13-point advantage over the next team, which is Williams. And then you've got Renault in 3rd, neither driver is here tonight, same with Haas in 4th, and then you're looking at Racing Point and McLaren just further behind, with a real struggle of team being AlphaTauri. And what on earth's happened there? We've got Cam and Jonis already out of qualifying. Is that in the pits? Or I think they've had a tangle in Sector 1, you can see on the map. I'm going to try and let's go on board with Super Guy NL if I can. I think I've just missed on board with him, and we have just missed what happened, but it looks like Cam and Jonis came together around the opening few corners, and that has ended their qualifying session really before it's even begun. So it'll be interesting to see if there's what happened there. Nevertheless, we've got Ugi now just coming around turns 16 and 17. It's a slow chicane, and then turn 18, just an acceleration zone here for Ugi to lead him onto the start finish straight and across the line to do a 1:26.6. Let's go on board now with Fears Max, full-time driver in the Racing Point alongside TNR Jonis. And if you're wondering who that is who's just gone quickest, that was formerly the Khan Bros. Now Ayub Khan has gone quickest on a 1:25.8, taking 8/10 out of his teammates' lap time. So a nice lap there from the race winner last week. Of course, it was a McLaren 1-2 in a race last week with a super dramatic finish to the race, with Khan edging out his teammate by just 0.023, I believe it was, or 24 seconds due to penalties. and it was a super dramatic finish. We didn't know for the longest time who was actually going to edge that one out, but it was the Carnbros who took his first win of the season, and it's actually his first podium. But to get that on the top step is a very pleasing moment for him, as Mats goes slightly too wide there through the chicane, and that will cost him his lap time as he slots into P6. We've currently got Super Guy Nell, who's put it into second, Free Gloves into fifth, and we're going to go now on board with Powdy, who's just starting a lap on the medium compound tyre, so not the fastest tyre, and we'll see what he can manage. In terms of a season for Powdy, probably it's been a little bit disappointing, I have to say. He started every race, which is fantastic to see, but he's only scored points in 3 of the 7 races. You know, Powdy usually a super consistent driver, but maybe just lacked a little bit of pace at times. Let's give us a little bit of background as well about Suzuka as he goes round these corners. It's 3.6 mile track. We've got 18 turns. Of course, it's the only track on the calendar with a figure of 8 layout. So it basically goes underneath itself at a certain point, overlaps. You've got classic corners like 130R, you've got Spoon Curve, Vedegnas, there's plenty of famous corner names around this track. Speaking of which, he's just going through Spoon Curve right now and running it very much on the limit of the curve. Was looking a bit fortunate not to be invalidated there. And a proper old school circuit, you know, a lot of grass areas, gravel traps, you know, you don't, if you make a mistake around here, you often get punished for it. So Powdy then across the line on his medium compound tyres. What's this lap time going to be? It's 27.0. It's enough to put him in front of Mats and into 6th place, as now we go with TB Sen. Taking the shortest run to the line, and that's good enough to put him into 5th on a 1 minute 26.7. And we're now going to find which driver's just about to start a lap. So is it Game Freaker? It is indeed. So we'll go on board with Powdy's teammate Game Freaker, who has had a bit more of a productive season than his teammate, but not by as much as you'd think. Game Freaker just with a 17 points to his name so far, and that includes a non-score at his home track. So someone who very much competed for the title in the Top Sunday tier in season 27, just struggling to match up to those heights. But with a reduced grid tonight, this could be the opportunity he needs to get some points on the board. Game Freaker then just going round this opening sector of the lap, hooks up so nicely, some sweeping turns, and exactly what you'd want to see from a racetrack. Definitely better than some of the more modern tracks that we have now. I'm just trying to find out. Oh, that was just trying to find out what happened there, because obviously Cam and Jonis retired early on in the session. It appears that Jonis was expecting Cam to ghost and he didn't, and they went into each other. So a little bit of miscommunication there, but all taken in good heart. So no bad blood there, and to be honest, it's not such a bad thing for these guys to be starting where they are. This Game Freak goes round the middle part of the lap now. It's a competitive second sector time, looks quicker than TB Sen. If I had to guess right now, maybe he's going to go into P4. It was a bit of a tentative entry into that final chicane. Where does Game Freaker go? He does indeed go into 4th place. So onto the second row provisionally as it stands, as Konski now goes around the middle part of the lap himself. His time is looking more sort of similar to his sort of teammates' lap time. The Red Bulls not looking like they've got an awful lot of pace at this stage. What does Konski do across the line? It's good enough for 7th, so a few places up from his teammate, and he won't be too disheartened with that lap time. Ugi Azim is on his 2nd flying lap and is already a 10th up through sector 1, so looking at improving his lap time, potentially getting up towards the sharp end of the field. Meanwhile, we've got Super Guyanel now out on the set of medium tyres after doing his opening lap on softs, He's now going to try to see if he can improve. Oh, and that's a big moment for Ugi. And into the gravel he goes. Oh, and he's got into the wall as well. Just as he thought he'd recovered it, he then lost the back end of the car again. Tyres obviously quite dirty at that stage. And he's got wing damage and will have to go back into the pits on that one. And now switch our attention to Free Gloves. Currently in P8 in this qualifying session. Got Max also on a lap. I'll keep an eye on how he's getting on. Okay, I was super worried that the live stream wasn't on properly or something, but we have now got getting some viewers, which is nice. Free Gloves coming up then too. This final chicane turns 60 and 17, and onto the straight now. Take the shortest run to the line, and that puts Free Gloves up into 4th place. What's Max up to? He's on a much better lap. This could be potentially a lap that challenges for pole position here. This has been a really smooth run from the Racing Point driver. A 125.8 to beat, and he stays third. He stays on a 126.0, so didn't find time in that final part of the lap. Someone who is finding some time is Mats, as he comes up to the final chicane himself. Currently down in 10th place, the slowest of the lap times we've got so far. What does Mats do across the line? He moves up just in front of his teammate to P8. Let's go on board with one reserve who's racing tonight. Raikio. I may not have said that right, apologies if not. But I'm going to go with Raikio until someone tells me otherwise. Or Ralkio, actually. I'm going to say Ralkio. Nevertheless, oh, massive tank slapper from the Haas. Looking more akin to the Haas car that we see in F1 this year. With how lively the back of the car was there. So, still getting himself dialed into this racetrack. The rear end looks super twitchy, it has to be said. So this won't be too much of a representative time at the moment. He's got a car just behind him. I'm just having a look to see, is that Khan on his second lap, I wonder? I know he's a bit further down the road, so I will go back to Raiko. Just see what his lap time does for him. Second sector time is actually not too uncompetitive, which is a little bit surprising, because the rear end of that car not looking all too stable at this stage. What does this do for him? Moves him up to P6, so there's definitely more time in there for him, as TB Sen just behind him moves up to 4. But the driver to look out for here could very well be this man we're looking at right here in the McLaren. Ayub Khan is absolutely flying. Found 3 tenths already on this lap, and he already has a good margin out front, so at the moment he's looking like the one to beat as he goes up to the line. What's this going to do for him? It's a 125.4, and that increases his margin at the front to 6 tenths of a second. And he's setting his stall out here. He's got that first win in the bag, and it just looks to have taken his confidence up to new levels, it has to be said. I don't know why it keeps doing that. That's really annoying. There we go. Powdy's not on a flying lap anyway. I don't think at this stage anyone will be, so we'll just we'll give TB Sen a bit of viewing time. Maybe he's pushing for a second lap though, I'm not too sure. Could very well be the case. No, he has backed off. So he may just wanting to rush back to the pits, make sure he's got enough time to get another run in. And let's go now with Super Guy Nell, who's back out on soft tyres. And looking like he wants to try and close in on Khan, who's currently on provisional pole. Through sector 2 of his Alab. Of course, just negotiated the 2 Degners, of course. That is a place in the race where you may see a few drivers lose it. So you've got to push the track limits to get the maximum out of the car, but that is one of those corners where you push too much and it will bite you. Track pretty quiet with 3.5 minutes of this session left. And it's fair to say at the moment that that Khan is going to take some beating. Has done 2 laps in his session, both of them in the 25s. No driver has yet to join him in the 25s. This is one driver, of course, who could very well do that. Our current championship leader, you would expect him to find some more pace, but he's coming straight back into the pits. So, not too sure about that one. He should be enough time to do another run. And that's maybe what he thought. Maybe the tyres weren't in the correct window for him. So he returns back to the pits. So now means the only driver now out on track is Oogie, currently in 8th place, and this will be his final run of the session. All the other drivers also preparing for their final runs too. Should expect to see some drivers coming out of the pits any second now. And here we go then. This is a crunch time in qualifying. At the moment, Ayub Khan has a substantial advantage at the top. It was his first, like I said, first podium last week, getting that first win on the board, and he just looks to have gone from strength to strength. Really looks comfortable in the car at the moment, and it's probably too late for a title charge for him, but some good results in his final couple of races should set him up well going into the new game, which of course will be debuting in PSGL in season 29. This is of course the final season on this current game. We've got 2 more rounds to go after this. The F8 title cannot be decided this evening, but depending how it goes, Super Guy and L could take a big step towards clinching it. So let's follow Oogie then for a lap of his 3.6 mile historic racing venue, scene of so many classic moments. Of course, that Senna-Prost collision at the turn 16-17 chicane is one that everyone thinks about, and Oogie, we saw him already have one moment of the exit of Spoon Curve through the S section at the start of the lap. He's had another problem, so he's going to have to back out of that one. And if he's got the... Oh, he's just completely lost focus and gone into the wall. That's a bizarre crash for Oogie. And that's him out of qualifying, and yeah, just a loss of concentration there. Drove off a racing track, and that is a huge blow for him. And we've got the first of the drivers then starting their final qualifying lap, and it is Free Gloves currently in 5th place. So let's see if I can take... Oh, that was a nervous turn in there. Bit of a twitch there through going into turn 2. And now here we go, and this is such a crucial part of the lap. It's important that you get the flow of this S section just right, otherwise it can cost you significant amounts of lap time. And that looks pretty nice from Free Gloves, gained in confidence as he went through the section, and he's literally set an identical first sector time to what he did previously. So not finding any time, but more importantly, he's not losing any either. Small lockup into the hairpin Kobayashi corner is probably what I'll always call it, due to the former Sauber driver's incredible dive bombs that he used to do at that turn. And now Spoon Curve, it's almost as important just to hook the corner up, almost treat it as one long left-hander. You know, you can't treat each corner on its own, it's very much one sweeping left-hander in that regard. Free Gloves is slightly up on his time, and to be fair, if he could do enough here to get himself above TV Sen, provisionally at the very least. Here we go then, what's Free Gloves going to do? Over the line he goes, and he does indeed go over. But Phase Max goes into P2, great improvement from Max up onto the front row. 2 tenths adrift of Ayub Khan, who has come into the pits, so he will not be improving. What Super Guy and L got on his final lap. We've got another improvement. Game Freaker finds a great lap to go up to 3rd. Super Guy and L's got to respond here. Our championship leader, across the line he goes, and it's good enough for the front row of the grid. Unless anyone remaining on a lap can take it off him. Could Ralkio do such a thing? He's currently down in 8th, but he is on a better lap, and that puts him up to 6th, I believe. So a good improvement from the reserve on his debut appearance. But it is Ayub Khan, formerly the Khan Bros, who takes pole position there. His 125.4 was good enough to clinch him that pole position. Here is your grid then. You got Super Guy and L joining him on the front row. You got Max in third, Game Freaker fourth, TB Sen fifth, Raukio in sixth, Powdy seventh. You got Free Gloves in eighth, Oogie ninth, and then the two Red Bulls of Mats and Konski line up 10th and 11th, with Cam and Jonas not doing a lap time due to their quite bizarre collision in qualifying, which put them both with destroyed cars. Got to say, if qualifying's anything to go by, McLaren is looking very strong here. But it was an important lap from a championship leader right at the death to pop him up from 5th to 2nd, and that could be a crucial lap coming into this race to prop him on the front row of the grid. He can get a big haul of points here. He can really pull clear of the two drivers behind him in the championship. And we've got rain. We have got rain for the race. I had no idea about that. It was not mentioned anywhere, Discord or chat. So, yeah, we've got rain. Completely surprising on that one. And how will that affect things over the 27 laps that we've got coming up here? You know, could potentially see other drivers come to the fore. Different conditions tend to suit drivers more than others. If there's one driver that we sort of need to keep an eye on in relation to Super Guy and L, potentially taking a big step towards the top this evening, it's Free Gloves. He's currently joint third in the standings, and of course with Volker and Ryan not being here, Free Gloves is really the one who's best positioned to potentially try to close in on Super Guy and L. He's currently 18 points adrift. So ideally here, Free Gloves probably recognises he probably needs to finish in front of Super Guy to really keep his hopes alive going into the final two rounds. Of course, we're at Baku next week for the penultimate round, and then we end off with a real classic final round venue. We're going to be at Interlagos for round 10, the final round, coming up in just 2 weeks' time. This season really has flown by. Let's have a look quickly. Everyone should be on intermediates. I don't think there's going to be too much variance there. No, everyone's starting on the intermediates. Understandably so. It's definitely not full wet conditions, but it's definitely not slick conditions either. Maybe suggestions that it will dry up later on. We shall see, of course. As Khan leads them on this formation lap, trying to get as much heat into those intermediates as possible. You definitely do not want to start on cold intermediates, which is probably why everyone is taking super care to not run into the back of anybody. In fact, you can see Jonas at the back, he's actually miles behind at the moment. So maybe he wants drivers in front to have cold tyres on the grid, and he's just biding his time, but he's catching up to the Snake now as we go down the back straight. This is going to be a terrifying corner in the race. 130R, usually easy flat in dry conditions in modern cars, but maybe a little bit more treacherous with some rain on this track. And now the AI will have taken over pretty much everyone's car now as they line up on the grid then. 27 laps, lying wait around Suzuka, round 8 of 10. We are getting towards that critical point of the season, and the destination of this race could have a big say in who the season 28 crown is going to. We've already crowned one PS champion, and that was on Thursday evening. That was Masiek, who took home the F12 crown. We can't crown a champion here this evening, but we can definitely be a lot more understanding of who is going to take it. Here we go then. Just waiting for the lights to come on in front of me. 5 lights, and when they stop illuminating, we'll be underway at Suzuka. And it looked to me like it was a pretty even start across the front. It was TB Sen further behind, who had a great start. And look at Game Freaker in the second phase of a start. He's gone right round the outside of Super Guy and L, and is he going to take P2? Yes, he is. So super start from Game Freaker there. gaining that place. Max has had a dreadful start from 3rd down to 5th. TB sent up to 4th. Looks like some changes of positions further down. Looks like Cam's had a great start from near the back of the grid. He's up to 8th place. Battling away with Powdy. Let's have a quick look at that. They're still going alongside each other. Oh, and a bit of contact there, but he managed to avoid it. But look at the 2 Red Bulls now looking to get involved as well. And that's going to be Mats down the inside of Powdy into the first Degner. Oh, he just about gives him the room. Round the second, Degner's going side by side there in the wet. Fair play to them for keeping it clean and tidy. And it looks like Mats has got that position. As he try and get it stopped for the hairpin for the first time, and maybe a slight bit of contact there as Konski looks now like he wants to get past Powdy as well, and you can already see a gap forming behind, with Matt sort of holding up a few drivers behind him at this early stage. But going back to the front quickly then, so Ayub Khan retains the lead then on lap 1, and then you've got Game Freak, Super Guy and L and TB Sen in the podium of 3rd and 4th positions, as Free Gloves and Ralkio are having a moment. As Ralkio's gone way off the road, and they're going to be going 3 wide here into the hairpin, and there's only going to be one way that ends, and they're stuck together. Free Gloves, Cam, they're all stuck together. Cars having to ghost now at the moment, and that has really cost all of them. Going 3 wide into the corner. Powdy, is there another collision happening further down? Doesn't look so like they're all recovering. Obviously the timing glitch has taken place right now as Jonas looks at the back of Ugi Azim, but yeah, 3 into 1 in that corner was just never going to go. But such was Ralkio's sort of moment, I'm guessing he had through 130R. It sort of meant that one of them needed to back off, and unfortunately none of them did, and he ended up just unfortunately caught against each other's cars. Khan just starting to pull a little bit away from Game Freaker at this stage, with Super Guy and L further back. We've got a problem there, because that's Cam. It's Cam recovering, going very slowly indeed. Looks like he's had a moment coming out the pits, it would appear. Don't know if he had to pit or not, but yeah, he's just cruising around at the back at the moment. The top 5 have definitely broken away here. Mats is in now up to 6, courtesy of that collision that was happening further down. You've got Ralkio running a bit wide there, just seems to be struggling for grip. And these early stages is the Haas driver, and this could present an opportunity here for Konski. Is he going to be brave and go up his inside to 130R? Yes, he is. This is super brave if he pulls this off. And to be fair, Ralkio decides... Oh, and Konski's gone into the wall and out of the race. He had a huge moment on the exit of the corner. That's got to be a safety car, and it is. Well, I was just about to say Konski had made the move stick brilliantly, and then he just gets a tank slapper on the exit of 130R, overcorrects, and goes sliding off into the wall. That would be a high-speed, scary accident in real life. Thankfully on the game there'll be no injuries. Maybe his controller or wheel may have taken a bit of a beating. No, he'll be so good after that. And you've got Jonas and Ralkio taking advantage of his safety car period and coming in the pits, maybe to either repair some damage or get some fresh intermediates on their car. Cam as well. So let's take a moment to breathe here. Who said 13 car races could be boring? Because that definitely hasn't been the case so far here. And we've already unfortunately got one victim of the Suzuka rain in spectacular fashion. It was Konski. But it is Khan that leads the way at the moment. Game Freaker in 2nd, Super Guy and L 3rd, TB Sen 4th, Max, Powdy, Free Gloves, Oogie, and then of course Jonas, Ralkio and Cam, who have all pitted. Let's have a quick look then. So obviously those guys at the front, sorry, have or those guys at the back rather have pitted. The big gain off the start really is Mats. You've got to say Game Freaker as well, from 4th up to 2nd. Super start from the Alfa Romeo driver, going around the outside of Super Guy through the opening couple of corners was a super move, and fully deserves those positions gained. And then you've got Mats, of course, up 4 places, will have been helped by that 3-car collision going into turns 16 and 17. So we're under safety car conditions here on lap 4 of 27. Khan leads the way, Game Freaker in second. And despite Jonas having to make a pit stop, whether for front wing damage or just getting some fresh intermediates on the car, he's up 3 places courtesy of having started at the back of the field. Of course, Ralkio with the disappointing start, down 5 places. Just gotta wait for these guys to catch up to the safety car. Let's have a look then. Oh, Johnny's going off the track there. So even in the safety car conditions, just struggling at the moment for grip. And to be fair, it's only just now where the race leader's catching up to the safety car. He has done so now. Don't need the tyre graphic on at the moment. And no one's got any penalties, so I'll just keep no graphic on them because everyone's on intermediate tyres, so yeah, it's very much Inter's conditions at this stage. And Khan was starting to build a bit of a gap out front before the safety car came out. Sorry for that huge crash for Konski. But nevertheless, now bunches everyone up behind the safety car. That'll be good news for the likes of Max downwards, really, because the top 5 had started to build quite a significant advantage over the next group of cars. So it definitely brings them back into play, and it's good news for those guys at the back as well. So no one effectively now will have lost any time. They can all catch up to the safety car, which will be staying out for another lap to allow the back markers just to catch up to the back of this train. To go into what a great sort of shock of a victory was for Khan last week, and the fact that he's winning today's race. Before his win at Canada, in the first 6 races, he had scored just 11 points. He more than doubled his tally just with last week's race alone. The pace has been there in fits and starts up to now, but it genuinely looks like he's knuckling down, putting the practice in, and just getting used to what is his first league racing experience. And with every race, he does seem to be just getting stronger and stronger. I do wonder if we're maybe seeing him in one of the Monday tiers come season 29. Of course, with it being a new game, though, you never know how you're going to sort of react and, I suppose, sort of come to terms with a new game. Obviously, the handling could very well be different, and that may suit certain people over others, but he's definitely showing he's got the credentials to fight in a very good tier with some very good pace. Everyone now has caught up to the back of a snake. We should be back underway at the end of this lap. Super Guy now won't be too flustered at the moment, running in 3rd place. He knows that the 2 guys currently in front of him are not championship threats. The one guy who could potentially close in on him with a good result tonight will be Free Gloves, but he's currently running in 8th place. So at the moment, Super Guy now doesn't need to do anything too drastic. And here we go then. Ayub Khan giving the safety car space. And I've not seen the safety cars coming in, but I'm guessing it is with the fact that... Oh, we've got Super Guy Nell's just driven past. I don't really understand what's happened there. When the safety car stayed out. So the safety car's not come in. So it looked to me like Khan was sort of backing things up, expecting a restart. And that never happened. But Super Guy Nell has now just driven past Khan and Game Freaker. I don't see how that's allowed to be legal. and apparently it was Khan and Game Freak have got the penalties for collisions. So I don't know what at all what's happened there with Super Guy and L. That can't be right. It must. I'm guessing it's one of those incidents where drivers will probably see very different things on their screen. Well, either way, Super Guy and L now is apparently leading this race and without a penalty. And the bad news is, of course, that it's very unlikely that they can get those 5 seconds removed, because they'll have to serve them when they pit, and you highly doubt that they're going to be able to go the rest of this race without pitting again. It's a real shame. I've got to say, I'm surprised the safety car wasn't coming in at the end of that lap, to be honest. That was quite baffling, really. So, yeah, that was a bit of a bizarre one, I've got to be honest. Everything that happened there was incredibly weird. Well, Khan should be leading, but it's not. It's now Super Guy and L who's up to the race lead. I'm just a bit puzzled as to how that's been allowed to happen by the game, but nevertheless, that's the order we've now got. Let's see, I'm just going to quickly see if there's anything in the Discord. But no, nothing in the Discord. Obviously everyone's still racing, so not seeing anything there. Safety car should be in this lap. I know I said this a lap ago and probably jinxed it knowing me, but yeah, safety car should be in at the end of this lap when it wants to be. There we go, the safety car is in this lap. The lights go out on the safety car, and now, take two, it is Super Guy and L who leads us away. I wonder if he'll let Khan or Game Freak go back through again. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. But not what we expected, but Super Guy and L now leading us away. And I'm assuming once we get out of turn 17, he's going to absolutely floor it. Yes, indeed he does. So we're back underway here at Japan. Super Guy and L leads us away, but he's very closely followed by Ayub Khan, who wants to get that lead back. He will not have been happy with what happened under the safety car conditions, but it is Super Guy and L who maintains the lead for now. And we've got a move further down. Well, it's like Powdy and Matt's battling away. Matt's the retakes the place, battling through the S section in the wet is pretty ill-advised, I have to say. But it is Matt's that keeps hold of 6th place at the moment. And those 5-second penalties for Khan and Game Freak are just playing to Super Guy and L's hands even more at this stage, you have to say. He's now got a nice buffer. Meanwhile, for his closest championship rival, who is here tonight, Free Gloves, is just starting to put some pressure, it would appear. As we've got further behind Cam. Oh, and Free Gloves nearly runs into the back of Powdy and nearly loses out. Oogie then has a massive moment. So I wonder if he was slightly held up there by Free Gloves. Loses the position to Jonas. He's then got Cam to defend against as we go up to Spoon Curve. And Oogie holds on to 10th place on this occasion. But all a bit messy there, it has to be said, as Super Guy and L is he letting, I think, yeah, he's letting the guys through. Fair play, that's good sportsmanship. I don't really know what happened all too well, but looks like he's giving those 2 places back. But the sad thing is, with that those 5-second penalties that both of them have got, it probably still means that Super Guy has come out of this effectively in the lead. But he's got to watch out because he's got TV Sen pretty close behind him now as well. And he's in overtake to make sure he can fend off back challenges Cam. Looks like he's got the move done on Oogie. Up into P10 for the Ferrari driver. Cam up into the points playing positions at this stage, recovering after that start as Jonas becomes the first person to get a corner cutting penalty. And we will get the penalty situation up on the left hand side of the screen for you. So it is as you were, as it should have been. Ayub Khan leading the way. Game Freak in second and Super Guy in third. And the top 3 now hopefully just trying to settle into a bit of a rhythm at this stage. But what has happened further down? We've got Oogie who's recovered from, looks like he's just recovering from an off. And has he got some wing damage? Yes, he has. He's got a lot of the left hand side of his wing missing. The end plates and everything else, so that will not be doing him any favours at all, as Jonas loses a position through the hairpin. An opportunistic move, it would appear, there from Cam who moves up to 9th place. Jonas looking like he's just struggling at this stage of proceedings. Looks for more like the top 3 are pulling clear at the front. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2, and as for Jonas, who's recovering after an off he's had now, so I'd just saying he was struggling, and that definitely backs it up. He's just had a little bit of a spin there, it would appear, and he's dropped to 11th behind Ralkio. So a few drivers towards the back there struggling. Oogie will be in the pits, and it's going to be tough from there for him to replicate his P2 from last week. As Cam sets the fastest lap, he's absolutely charging on his intermediates. He passed 2 people in the last lap, and yeah, he's got a lot of pace now as he's caught now in the back of his train, but you sense that he could be making some more moves very soon. Jonas has retired in the pits. So Jonas becomes our 2nd retirement of proceedings. He is out, clearly not enjoying the wet conditions there. And yeah, he's retired in the pits, so there won't be a safety car or anything like that. Oogie is coming out of the pits now, I assume on another set of intermediates. Can't imagine it'd be anything different at this stage. Look at Cambo, he's looking all over the road, looking for a way through, but if anything, Free Gloves slightly closer to the back of Powdy, it would appear, at this stage of a race, and putting the pressure on, trying to get P7. Of course, Powdy looking to get his best result of the season here tonight. He hasn't had, by his standards, the season he would have hoped for. So this is definitely a good chance for him to try and get back some of those points. Yeah, currently only with 10 points. His best result was a 6th place at Singapore. So definitely an opportunity here today to beat that. You can already see though, TB Sen just is not able to keep up with the top 3 guys. And Super Guy and L on right in the back of Game Freak are now just starting to put a bit of pressure on the Alfa Romeo driver, who seems to be flourishing in these wet conditions. Of course, being a Belgian, I'm sure he's quite used to sort of rain that you see at Spa on certain years, but at the moment he's doing a solid job. But TV Sen's struggling for pace, and he's kind of holding a big train of cars behind him. Max is the one in 5th. He'll be ruining his bad start to the race, Max, because he probably feels at the moment he's got more pace than what he's been allowed to show. Stuck behind that Mercedes. He's not using too much of his overtake right now. Maybe it might be a good idea to start using some more up. Oogie is a long way behind. Yeah, he's on intermediates. I was going to say, has he pitted again? Has he had another moment? I'm not too sure. But he's a long way off the pace, so it's going to be a tough race from there for Oogie. See if he can try and recover some good points. I mean, he only needs one more retirement, I suppose, and he's in the points, so not all is lost, as we've got Cam looking to make further progress. He goes in super late on the brakes, looking for a cutback out of a hairpin, but Free Gloves himself was looking for a move on Powdy, which he hasn't quite been able to stick. And you've got here now Cam looking for an overtake, and he can't quite find it, all over the curb there. Got to be careful, you don't want to lose the rear end of a car. But what's happened to Khan? Khan has had a moment and he's lost the lead. In fact, he's dropped down to 3rd place, so Khan dropping from 1st down to 3rd. Don't know if he's had a moment there or what's gone on, but nevertheless, that's a big blow for the McLaren driver, who was just starting to assert his authority on this race, and now has dropped behind the leading pair, but he's right there still with them. So this is still very much a three-way scrap out front, as we now go on board with Max, who I think is going to finally try and get that P4 away from TB Sen, who just doesn't look like he's got the pace at the moment. But again, Max just running out of room. He can't make the move stick. So for the time being at least, he's going to have to stick behind the Mercedes and hope for a mistake, because right now TB Sen not looking all too quick, it has to be said. Let's have a look. I want to see actually what their fastest laps are. So yeah, you can look at the difference there. You've got Super Guy and L in the late 39s, Game Freak at low 140, Khan in the 140s, TB Sen's in the low 41s, and that's the difference right now. He just hasn't got the pace that's allowing him to keep with the top 3. But yet at the same time, he's not really coming under maximum attack from the guys behind. Of course, no DRS in these conditions, So that does remove one big overtaking opportunity. Oh, this is an opportunity here. Look how close Super Guy Nell's getting to the back of Game Freaker. His engine's revving his nuts off, so I'm going to stick with the telly shots. But this is an opportunity. Game Freaker had a compromised exit, I would say, onto the main straight. So here we go then. Is this the opportunity that Super Guy needs to try and take the lead of the race? He's in such a strong position at the moment with those 5-second penalties, but these guys will have to serve. But nevertheless, what he would like to get the lead outright and try and drive away Max. Still not close enough. Oh, we've got some pit stops. We have got some pit stops. I wonder what's happening there. Valkyrie has suddenly gained a lot of positions. It's because Powdy, Free Gloves and Cam are in the pits. Powdy's way out in front. So I wonder if there's been either some holding up there, or Free Gloves and Cam had a change of their wing. Was there an incident between those guys that I didn't quite pick up on? Nevertheless, that's a big advantage for Powdy and a lot of chasing for Free Gloves and Cam to do. So let's see then, still the top three staying out there. I wonder if we'll see any other pit stops then in response to that. It doesn't look like the conditions are changing all too much right now. It looks very much stable intermediate conditions at this stage of the proceedings. We're coming up to the halfway mark of this, the round 8 of the PSGL F8 season, and we've got Cam out of the race. We've got Cam out of the race, and that's another safety car. And that sort of renders the pit stop meaningless. Cam has lost it. I'm looking at it. That's like on the exit of a second Degner. Let's try and get a view from Oogie Azim. But to me, I would say that's the exit of the second Degner has caught out. Cam, yeah, you can see. Look at that, just sprayed across the track. Obviously had a huge moment there. And that has cost him as the guys come into the pits now. Interesting to see what that does in terms of the positions. Oh, look at that. Because we had to serve a penalty, Super Guy now leads away. Game Freaker's second car just gets in front of TB Sen, so he stays in P3. So that actually doesn't do too much damage for Game Freaker or Khan there, because they had to effectively, they said the pit stop under the, said the penalty under the safety car, which of course means that they've only really lost position to Super Guy. They're still right there with him, so I'm kind of happy to see that, because it wasn't a fair penalty. So at least they've served it in a way that hasn't cost them as much as it would have done serving it under green flag conditions. So we're under safety car conditions for the second time this race. It is Super Guy NL, our championship leader, leading the way, and Free Gloves down in 8th. It looks like there was an incident between Cam and Free Gloves, which Cam has already apologised for again, so that might have been a reason why they both had to come into the pits on that one. Cam taking full responsibility there. The one driver this potentially helps is Oogie, who can now catch up to the back of the pack again. Hopefully, though, we don't have any safety car issues like we had under the last one. And hopefully no more retirements, because we are now down to just 10 drivers in the race, so don't really want to lose any more if we can get away with it. TV Sen still in 4th, but I mean, if obviously quite similar conditions throughout this race, if once we go green again, if it kind of goes the way the first half of the race has gone, you don't feel like TB Sen's really got the pace to challenge with 3 guys out front. But the great thing is now it is a level playing field between the top 3, and Super Guy will be under a bit more pressure now than what he would have been. And the irony, I suppose, really, that Super Guy has been put under pressure because of a crash for his teammate. So Ferrari there, not working in perfect harmony. Can be F8 champion of last season. Of course, F8 wasn't the top Sunday tier in season 27. It was F7, so this is now the top Sunday tier. So it was Jonas, of course, sorry, Morgan, who won it in season 27, the F7 tier, the top Sunday tier, with Jonas close behind. But yeah, not a good season for either of us two former champions. And Jonas's chances of the title, I think, have gone now. So you're looking, for me, I would say that it's Super Guy in a strong position. If anyone's probably going to take it off him, you're looking at probably being either Ryan, who's not here tonight, or Free Gloves if he can salvage a good points finish. But right now, the ball is very much in Super Guy's court. He just needs to get a strong result here, and he's looking good going to Baku next week for the penultimate round of the championship. Safety car should be coming in at the end of this lap. Don't want to jinx it again, but yeah, everyone's now caught up to the pack. So we should be back underway, and it will be Super Guy leading us away. Game Freak a second. Ayub Khan, the star of qualifying, a star of Canada last week, in third, looking to recover after a small mistake cost him, dropped him from P1 down to P3. With a few other guys further behind looking to make an impact, and still the lights remain on the safety car, so something's telling me we aren't going back underway. Oh, we are. There we go. Thanks, safety car, for leaving it to the last possible second, but we are getting back underway here, and a Super Guy will bunch the pack up, ready for a restart here at Suzuka. We'll be going to lap 15. These intermediate tyres, assuming the weather conditions don't drastically change, these intermediate tyres should be good to go for the rest of the race. So here we go then, back to green flag conditions we are, and Super Guy leads us away. It's a good restart, but Game Freak are right in his wheel tracks here, showing that he's right there with him, but not quite able to mount an attack. It was a slightly sluggish getaway from Ayub Khan further behind, with TB Sen right on the back of him. But they've all got through the restart pretty unscathed, which is good to see. Powdy looking every way and that way for a way past the Red Bull and Max. Quite similar to the last safety car restart we had in that respect. But once again, no way through at the moment. He's got to be careful for Free Gloves behind, who will try and sniff any half opportunity that's given to him. As you see, Valkyrie just running slightly wide in the background. Back at the front then, it is still Super Guy leading away. Game Freak a second. Ayub Khan third, and you're already seeing early signs of what we saw earlier, but TB Sen just is not able to keep up with them. Already dropped to 1.2 seconds behind the car behind, or the car in front of him rather. So yeah, TB Sen just struggling again for outright pace. And look at that, was that a slow exit? It would appear it was, and that's given a perfect opportunity for Game Freaker to take the lead. So Game Freaker in the lead then, back where he was, and Game Freaker now is in the pound seat. A small mistake, it would appear, from Super Guy, and he takes the lead of the race. Game Freaker doing the fast lap of the race, but Ayub Khan taking that away from him as he looks to get involved too. So a change for the leading three, but these leading three look head and shoulders clear of the drivers behind, with once again TB Sen under pressure from Max behind. We saw how difficult it was for Max to get past earlier on, so he might be able to get up to the back of him, but an overtake will be a lot trickier. But it's not tricky for these top three to keep swapping places all over the place. But it is now Game Freaker that leads the way. And after a difficult season, I think he would love to go on the top step of the podium here. It would be oh, look at that huge moment for Ayub Khan, and he has to wrestle the rear end of that McLaren back into shape. Just too much curb on the exit of the second Egner, and applied the throttle while on the curb. He had a massive Massive tank slapper, managed to recover it, and but he's lost time as a result, but he'll be just thankfully still pointing in the right direction after that. But that's a wake-up call. Even when you feel like you're one of the quickest drivers out there, this track can bite you at any moment, and yeah, you definitely can't afford to lose concentration even for a moment as we ride on board with the Dutchman as he tries to hunt down the Belgian driver Game Freaker for the race lead here. Of course, he'll probably feel a little bit more relaxed now that he hasn't got a McLaren breathing down his neck, so this could be an opportunity he wants to try and wrestle the lead of a race back. Game Freaker lapping quickly, and the Super Guy choosing not to use his ERS on this occasion. Max just not close enough at this stage to the Mercedes of TB Sen. Free Gloves looking menacing at the back of Powdy. This is not where he needs to be if he wants to keep alive his championship hopes. And he will know that. Khan already starting to come back at the leading pair. Just a little bit through the opening part of this lap. Back to the little battle at the front. Super Guy coming back at Game Freaker after losing about 3/10 in the opening part of the lap. Ralkio has just picked up his first penalty, so both him and Ugi with 3 seconds worth of penalties at the moment. You can see that there. I'll keep that on the screen. Everyone on intermediates now, and it should be for the rest of the race, barring damage or a change in the weather conditions, but still looks pretty much bog standard intermediate conditions to me. Super Guy then heading down the back straight now, using some of his overtake to try and stick closer to that Alfa Romeo in front. I want to keep an eye on Max here, who just keeps getting within touching distance of TB Sen, but just cannot get close enough to force a manoeuvre. He's remained very patient to his credit, but can't help wondering how long that patience will last for. If he can continue to not be able to make an overtake. Again, using some of his overtake, but he's not going to be close enough when we get down there to turns 1 and 2, and that's really the problem. So obviously when you get into this situation, it gets to that point where the best you can hope for is a mistake from the driver in front, and at the moment, although he hasn't got the pace to stay with the top 3, the one thing TB Sen does look to have is consistency. He's not making too many errors at this stage, so he's not giving any half opportunities away to the guy behind him, which is what's causing the problems for those behind. As Game Freaker looks like he ran slightly wide at the second Degner, but there's no way through for Super Guy now. No Kobayashi-esque move going to be attempted there. Obviously in wet conditions that's even tougher than it would normally be. You can see Khan is sticking with them. He's got the pace to do so. He's got no worries from behind. Once again, TB Sen just unable to keep up with the top 3. And you get the feeling there's going to be some more twists and turns before the end of this race, because you know, Super Guy, he's got a championship to think about, but he'll also want to try and get that lead back. For 3 very different reasons, these guys will want to take the win here. Game Freaker to have a high point of what's been a difficult season. Super Guy to put one hand on the driver's title trophy. And Ayub Khan to continue that great momentum from Canada last week. They've all got their reasons for wanting to stand on the top step, but only one of them can do so, as we've got an overtake happening here. Nothing that Powdy can do, and Free Gloves is up into 7th place. Free Gloves, looks like Powdy may have made a small error because he just drifted away from the 3 guys in front, and Free Gloves used that to his advantage to take him down the pit straight and move up into 7th position. He still needs to gain a few more places though if he's to realistically keep his title dreams alive going to Baku next week. Back with this leading trio. Oh, sorry, the second group of cars rather, should I say. but with the leading trio. Look at this. Super Guy looking ever closer to the back of Game Freaker. And we've got a yellow flag in Sector 2, and that's Ralkio, who's gone for a spin down at the hairpin. I don't know if there was any contact between him or Oogie, but Ralkio recovering after an off there and dropping down to 10th and last place. Here we go then. What? It's a poor run from Game Freaker, and this is going to be the opportunity that Super Guy was looking for. Around the outside, turn 16 is going to have the inside line for 17. They're going to continue this battle onto the main straight. Here we go, side by side. This is a shocking camera angle, but here we go. Game Freaker's got the outside, Super Guy's got the inside. Who's going to be bravest into T1 and T2? It's Super Guy who takes the lead back again. Game Freaker ultimately not able to hang it around the outside. He couldn't repeat his trick from lap 1. And Super Guy back into the race lead there with a really nice move. Just waited for even the slightest of little mistakes from the driver in front and took advantage to the maximum. I think another driver who might be looking to take advantage here is Free Gloves on the back of Mats, who's looking at one of his best results of the season. Currently in P6. Look at this huge train of cars then going around the hairpin. Still TB Sen leading this group at the moment. Mats, of course, got 3rd place last week, was his best result of the season, but this would still be one of his better results of the season if he can stay where he is right now. And this could be an opportunity here for Mats to potentially be up to 5th, because that was a poor exit from Mats out of Spoon Curve. He's just going to run out of straight before he gets there, and a slightly better run from the racing point going through 130R. It's all about now the exit onto the pit straight. Max just cannot get close enough to the back of that Mercedes. The problem is he'd want to try maybe a different line through T16 and 17 to try and get a better run onto the pit straight, but he's then at risk of being overtaken if he does that. So he's kind of got to just follow the racing line on that one. It's an unfortunate situation for him, but he's got no way at the moment of stopping it. What's happened to Khan? Khan's just had a small error, it would appear, because he's just dropped about 1.5 seconds behind the leading pair, and TB Sen's come back at him a bit. So Khan having a bit of a moment there. Doesn't like he's got any damage for his troubles, but clearly a few struggles going on in that McLaren. Just a couple of little mistakes creeping in here and there that have allowed Super Guy and Game Freaker to pull away. Still the group behind continue to fight. TB Sen having a good season at the moment, currently 5th in the championship, but look at that. Max going for it, but not quite close enough. Max having a bit of a poor run there through the middle part of the lap, and that presenting an opportunity for Max, who really looks like he wants to get on with this now. Oh, that was a confidence lift from Mats, that really was. Not confident enough to take flat out. Here we go, DRS is enabled, so I wonder if we're going to see some drivers in the pits here. Yes, we are. Max, Free Gloves and Powdy will all come into the pits here. Oogie stays out. So here we go then, let's have a look then at the tyre that's going on. Yeah, so Khan's come into the pits as well and fitted the soft tyre. TB Sen stays out. I do wonder if the likes of TB Sen and Oogie are just considering just staying out there on intermediate tyres, but surely that is not a viable way to go. I suppose for Oogie, he was running towards the back anyway, so there's less of a risk involved for him, but TB Sen was up in 4th place, so I'm just be surprised if he does that. It definitely has dried out, and you can see these guys here just trying to bring it back to the pits. You can already see Khan on those soft tyres begin to reel in his teammate quite quickly, and we've got Oogie out of the race, and a safety car is out. And I tell you what, that could play beautifully into the hands of some of these guys who didn't pit, because they can now essentially just pit under safety car conditions. But Oogie tried to stay out on his intermediates and lost it. It looks like, I want to say, out of a second Egner once again. If I had to say, let's have a look. I'm just giving an eye on Ralkia, seeing where he sort of overtakes Oogie. Yeah, it's the exit of a second Egner is what's got Oogie. It's a common place for drivers to lose it. TB Sen's pitting. I was going to say surely he's not going to stay out, and he isn't. Super Guy now stays in front of Game Freaker. Where's Khan going to come out in relation? I tell you what here, TB Sen might just get third place here off Ayub Khan, and that would be a huge blow for him if TB Sen rejoins in front of him. This is going to be quite close, you know. You can see Mercedes coming out the pits, but no, TB Sen has slotted in behind. So he stays as he was in P4. Khan, crucially for him, up to third place, but a real shame for Oogie. Tried to gamble on those intermediates, and it has backfired quite horrifically for him. No real change in positions then, despite the late drama of a third safety car period here. We've just got to wait now for Ralkia, who will be the last one to join the queue of cars. Super Guy now behind the safety car. And you can see drivers just starting to line up behind. And to be fair, if Ralkia's quick about this, we might be back underway at the end of this lap, which would be great. The more laps we get in at the end on dry tyres, the better, I would say, for the excitement of these closing stages of proceedings. Everyone is now caught up to the safety car, at the exception of Ralkia, so hopefully Ralkia can get there as quickly as possible, and we can have a 4-lap sprint to the end. Oh, Ralkia's out! He's crashed out through a second Egner. Wow, that is utterly bizarre. Ralkia out of the race, trying to catch up to the safety car, and loses it round a second Egner, the third victim of that corner. So Ralkia joins Oogie and I believe it was Konski in retiring there. That's a real shame. Oh, sorry, Cam. So Ralkia, Oogie and Cam all going at the exit of that corner. And we have got another lap under safety car conditions, presumably to clear that stricken Haas of Ralkia. It's a real shame for him. Just the 8 drivers now remaining. Suzuka, as always, claiming quite a few victims, and in changeable conditions has proven to be quite the test for these drivers. Let's have a look then again at positions gained for some of these guys. So yeah, it's actually pretty static. Like one or two places lost or gained for most drivers. The only big gainer really is Max, up from 10th to 6th, and that of course has been helped out by some of the retirements that have happened, but still Matt's definitely the big gainer as it stands. Of course, Game Freaker's start was a huge contributing factor to his 2 gained places, but he's driven a really solid race, it has to be said. Khan, after getting pole position, just hasn't had the consistency in the wet conditions. Of course, we had a dry qualifying. Now we're back to dry conditions. He could be the one to look out for, because I suspect he will be super quick, just like he was in qualifying. So watch out for Ayub Khan. He could potentially begin to come back at the leading pair in these final few laps. We may have DR. Oh! TB Sen's gone round! And he's got front wing damage. A huge blow to TB Sen, and that is the end of his, well, what were lingering title hopes anyway, if we're quite honest, but that's huge damage on the right hand side of a front wing, and TB Sen under safety car conditions has gone round. I don't know if there was any contact there. Fortunately, I only just saw like the stricken Mercedes that had gone. I didn't actually see what caused it, but it was out of a hairpin. And yeah, so many drivers really struggling here, and that could be a big opportunity for the likes of Max and Mats to potentially play a part in the battle between the leading trio. But safety car is coming in, and TB Sen, to be fair to him, can just cruise it now and bring up 8th place, so it's not too much of an issue. We're going to have 3 laps here, gunning it at the end. Who is going to take the spoils here at Suzuka? Look at that, a super guy waiting until the last possible moment to go. He knows he's going to be under threat here, so he does not want to give them any opportunity to get past. Game Freak is staying in the overtake mode, but not quite close enough going into turn 1. Free gloves right at the back of Mats as well. But we are back underway, and it's a good restart from the Ferrari driver. Exactly what he needed. He wanted to minimise the amount of straight that Game Freak had to attack him with, and it did so very, very well. So really, it's a 7-horse race now. TB Sen with the damage will just have to try and bring it home for 8th place, which I think is what he's going to do. But you can see the guys absolutely pushing it on the restart, just trying to explore where the grip is. The track will still be gripping up and drying up to an extent, so you won't have maximum grip straight away. So it's a very much exploratory lap, this one, just finding out where the grip is and where it isn't. But so far, at least, Super Guy is doing what he needs to do to effectively put one hand on the trophy, as Khan gets a 3-second penalty. That is going to be absolutely savage when it comes to his final finishing place. And Ayub Khan's race, after such a good qualifying, just has fallen away somewhat in the race. And yeah, that penalty is not going to do him any good at all. It's likely that he could drop to, most likely will drop to 7th. If he's lucky, he might get 5th or 6th. Just depends how the gaps go over the next few laps. So there we go, 1 lap done. We're on the penultimate lap of the race now. Game Freak is still trying to push after Super Guy. They should have DRS available to them on the final lap, so this is by no means a done deal for the Ferrari driver. Max just not able to keep up with the top 3 at the restart. And Free Gloves looking like he wants to try and get past Max. He's been on the offensive for a lot of this race, it appears, as Free Gloves, but he hasn't been able to get too far with it. TB Sen does eventually give up the ghost on those, on with that front wing damage, and puts another set of softs on to see if he can potentially go fastest lap on the final tour. Khan then on the back of Game Freaker, but he knows he can't gain the place now unless Game Freaker gets a penalty himself. So it really is that just to getting that 3 seconds and having the whole field bunched up has really cost him, and will cost him when they cross the line at the end. But it looks at the moment like Super Guy's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's got the 1 second advantage that he needs coming up to the DRS detection point, so I don't think that Game Freak is going to have the DRS available to him anyway. And the DRS, of course, not in operation yet anyway, so yeah, this isn't looking great for Game Freak now. I don't think he's going to be able to come back at Super Guy. We are on the final lap. They will have DRS, I believe, down the back straight. But that is a difficult place to make a move stick. But there's a couple of people in position. The one battle I'm going to keep an eye on is this battle here, where Max is just in front of the trio of Max, Free Gloves and Powdy. Maybe the reason why Max couldn't get past TB Sen in the opening stints is he didn't have that much pace. That appears that way, but now the top 3 have just had more pace than everybody else today. TB Sen will be ruining that mistake. That's ruined what would have been a podium for him, which now looks like it's going to go to Max, unless Max can steal it off him in these closing stages. But Super Guy is doing exactly what he needs to do out front. and he's going to have a significant championship lead after this. You're looking probably, I would say, Free Gloves is going to... Yeah, so after this race, it's highly likely that he's going to have a 28-point advantage, Super Guy, with just 2 races to go. He's pretty much going to have wrapped this up now, and to be fair to him, he's done what he needed to do today. It's been a really controlled performance, and Super Guy takes the win. Khan picks up another penalty. Free Gloves loses a place. Game Freaker will take second. It'll be Max who will take the final spot on the podium. Max will be fourth. Powdy fifth. Powdy got the position off Free Gloves, so he will be sixth. Khan drops to seventh. It was a real problem. He would have actually been ahead of Free Gloves if he hadn't picked up that second penalty, so a real mess from him. And TB Sen is a good way behind, but will pick up 8th. So there you go, yeah, Super Guy, who got the fastest lap? Let me just check quickly. It is Super Guy, unless TB Sen is looking like taking it off him. Let's have a look. He's got a 3-second penalty. I'm not sure if he got it or not. So if that's a 17 points that Super Guy's taken here, he's going to have a 29-point lead with 2 races to go, and that, with just 34 points available, is looking pretty unassailable at this stage, you have to say. And it would also mean that really the only 2 drivers in contention other than him are Ryan and Free Gloves. So there you go. He takes the Japanese Grand Prix win. That is his 3rd race win of the season. It's actually his 1st win since round 3 at Austria. Quite hard to believe, really, with how quick he's been throughout the entirety of the season. But yeah, 1st win in 5 races for Super Guy. It's Game Freaker who takes 2nd place. And that'll be a big morale boosting result for him. By far and away his best result of the season. FaZe Max with his first points in F8 takes 3rd place. TB Sen did not get fastest lap, so yeah, Super Guy, pending any stewards inquiries, will have a 29-point lead going to Baku, and it's looking very likely that he will be the champion now. Mats takes 4th, Powdy in 5th, Free Gloves in 6th. Ayub Khan started on pole, but some penalties and a few little moments here and there cost him. He finishes 7th with TB Sen in 8th, and then the rest of the drivers all retiring, with Ralkio 9th and Ugi 10th, the last of the retirees. So there you go, and that was the Japanese Grand Prix round 8 of the F8 Championship. Be sure to join me next week, where we could be crowning a champion. It's very, very likely at Baku, so be sure to join myself and Bryn for that. That should be a lot of fun. I'll quickly say that my driver of the day, for me, is going to go to Game Freaker. Great opening to the race, went from 4th to 2nd and held that 2nd place brilliantly throughout the race, and by far and away his best result of the season, and for that reason he gets my driver of the day. So well done to Game Freaker on that one. But yeah, that's going to be it from me. Be sure to tune in to PSGL tomorrow. We've got all the top 7 tiers in action, including of course the F1 Championship, and myself, I'll be back on commentary tomorrow for F3 alongside Logan, so be sure to tune in for that. Should be a lot of fun, but until then, it's good night from me, and I'll catch you on the flip side.